Are you a people pleaser? Do you have the nice girl syndrome? Because when you have the nice girl syndrome is when people pleasing becomes a trauma response. And you might not think of it as it being a trauma response, but when you're trying to people please all the time, there's usually some reason behind that, underlying reason behind why people please and why we do it. So if you say yes when you mean no, you overextend yourself, or you're constantly avoiding conflict, you might be stuck in the nice girl mode. And it's deeper than manners, it's about survival. I had a client who was really stuck in people pleasing, and it stemmed from them being in a toxic work environment where there was a group of ladies who were quite a close knit group of ladies. This other lady came in, she became part of the group, but never quite fit in fully. And for her to feel like she fit in with the group, it was always, yeah, I'll do that. Like if they were going out for a meal or anything like that together, she'd be the designated driver, everybody else would be having a drink. Or, she'd be the one that organised everything, collected the money for if they were going to the theatre, that kind of thing. And it all stemmed from her wanting to be part of the group, part of the tribe. And that's in us all. We all need to be part of a tribe. But when we started looking into it and digging down deeper, it came from when she was a teenager. She had a group of friends, and one of the girls in this group of friends was really mean to her. And I was trying to push her out and cause trouble and try and make the other people fall out with her. And to counteract that, she started to do things like, she'd buy them all sweets, or she'd pay for them all gut at pictures, or, they'd all come round to her house and all these kinds of things that were going on. And it stemmed from that. But it was more from a trauma response. So I want you to think about it. If you are trying to be the yes person all the time and always trying to please people, then try and think about it from a point of view of where does that come from? Was that something that's happened in your past? And try and do a bit of digging around it to see where it's come from. So if we think about where it starts, many nice girls were once little girls who learned that being agreeable meant safety. Maybe you had to walk on eggshells when you were at home with somebody. Maybe your needs were too big for the adults around you. So you adapted to being quiet and being good and being easy. It doesn't necessarily have to come from something in your little childhood, though. It could be something that came from your teenage years as well. So don't dismiss things that have happened in your teenage years, but have a look as to where you think yours started from. People pleasing as a trauma response. You're not needy, you're programmed. Saying yes to others kept you connected to them, but it often meant abandoning yourself, and that chronic self-betrayal becomes exhausting. You can't constantly be people pleasing all the time, because if you do, it just wears you out and wears you down. And eventually someone will do something that, has made you feel like you're the one that's done something wrong, because you're constantly people pleasing. You're always getting that sense of gratification from it. And then when something happens and you don't get that, then that can become a major issue. So, really look into why it is that you're feeling that way and feel the need to do that. Niceness can come with a price, and it can come with resentment, it can come with burnout, it can come with feeling invisible. Because being nice all the time and being a people pleaser becomes a mask. And underneath that mask, you might feel really angry, you might feel unheard, you might feel unworthy, and you deserve more than that. You deserve more than performative peace. So, if this is how you find yourself sometimes, and you're having to put your mask on all the time, then do some journaling around it to see if there is some reason behind why you feel you need to do that all the time. Weigh up the pros and cons of what, like, do both sides. So the reasons why you do it and what you get out of it, that kind of thing, because that can help you to try and realize, is this really what you want, or are you doing it for someone else's sake? I want you to look at reclaiming your voice. So healing starts by honoring your no, practicing boundaries, feeling the discomfort and doing it anyway. You're not mean for being honest. You're finally safe enough to be real. Reclaiming your voice can be really difficult. I went through this for years. For years, I did loads of stuff that I didn't want to do. For years, I always did everything else to please everybody else. And don't get me wrong, at the time I was doing it, I didn't feel that there was anything wrong with that. But then it became, once I stopped doing it and I looked back on what I'd done, I realised then that it took over my life and it was controlling my life. So just have a look at some of the things that you might be doing that you're telling your inner voice to, oh, shut up, we'll just do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? And just have a look at that and see what's going on. The world doesn't need more nice girls. It needs ladies who are whole, who are healed, and who are speaking your truth, even if your voice is shaky. So I want you to think about it. I want you to own your power. I want you to straighten your crown, and I want you to be the best voice that you can be as your own advocate for your own mental health. So that's it for today. I shall see you all again soon. Bye for now.